Have you ever prayed but never got an answer, and wondered if God was really there? Did you feel all hope was gone, but in His time He came along and answered the prayer you thought was gone? There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. I have read, if you will ask, you shall receive. No matter what it is, I still believe. There is no prayer too small, and even when we fall, He gives us just exactly what we need. There is no prayer too small, for God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. No prayer too small. He always knows what's right. God hears them all. There is no prayer too small. My God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. No prayer too small. No prayer too small. God hears them all.
My name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach and the host of To Take Your Life Back Today show. As an addiction recovery coach, I want to share something with you. Let me be crystal clear. Imagine being buried alive. You're in a coffin, but you know you're not dead. You don't know how to get out of that coffin. You tried lifting your lid. The enormous weight upon the lid prevents you from doing it. You try banging on the lid to unsettle the dirt that's on the lid. Maybe somebody will notice and start digging their way down towards you. This is what it's like to feel at the lowest point of alcohol and drug addiction. You know you need help. You know you can't do it on your own. You don't know where to turn. In reality, you just think there were probably people standing by your grave, but you just think you're going to die. Usually, though, people don't think about death when they're habitually abusing drugs and alcohol. In order to feed an addiction, you have to be great at repressing the fear of death. I often ask you, my audience, did it ever cross your mind while you were abusing drugs and alcohol you might overdose and take something away that God had given you, called life? If that's not bad enough, you'll take your life away from the people that count and need you most. Mother, father, brother, sister, husband, wife, children, and grandchildren. With this, let me leave one last thought. Don't be like the person that I just spoke about that waited and ended up in the coffin without seeking help. Just pick up the phone and call me at 844-405-HELP, and I promise you, I'll help you take your life back before your life is gone. Quick note, Larry Geis, Geis Academy, 516-458-2741 or www.odysseyconsultant.org. Larry Geis and I always tell folks like you, it doesn't matter where you've been, it doesn't matter where you came from. What matters is that you're here today looking for a better tomorrow. Larry Geis, 516-458-2741. These are the 20 countries with the harshest drug penalties. United States drug laws are often considered harsh. The penalties for carrying or trafficking drugs in other countries, particularly those in Central America, South Asia, can be much more severe. Here are 20 countries in which you do not want to get caught carrying drugs. Malaysia. In Malaysia, those who sell drugs can be punished with death. Just for having drugs in your possession, you can be fined, jailed, deported. Driving drunk is also punished harshly in Malaysia. China. In China, if you're caught with drugs, you could be forced to attend drug rehab in a facility run by the government. Execution is the penalty for some drug crimes. Vietnam. In Vietnam, drug crimes are taken very seriously. If you are arrested with more than 1.3 pounds of heroin, you would automatically be executed. Iran. Iran is not known to be tolerant of criminal offenses in general, and drug offenses are no different. The use of opium is a particular problem in Iran, in part because it is produced in neighboring Afghanistan. If you are caught with drugs in Iran, the best case scenario is a large fine. The worst case scenario is death. Thailand. In Thailand, those trafficking narcotics can be put to death instantly. Drug users are frequently sentenced to mandatory rehab. Dubai. Dubai is known to be very intolerant of drug abuse. Many prescription drugs there are legal. In other parts of the world can get you put in jail in Dubai. It is typically for drug offenders to be sentenced to 4 years in prison and then be deported. Failing a drug test can be grounds for incarceration in Dubai, even if you are not in possession of any drugs. Saudi Arabia. The sale of drugs in Saudi Arabia almost always results in a death penalty. Saudi Arabia has a judicial authorities are not inclined to make exceptions. Alcohol use is illegal in Saudi Arabia, and possession or use of alcohol and or drugs can be punished by public flogging, fines, selecting imprisonment, or public execution. Singapore. Singaporean police will assume that you are selling drugs if you are caught with relatively small amounts. If you are convicted of selling drugs, you will be sentenced to death and executed. Cambodia. In Cambodia, you can be sentenced to many years in prison or even have life prison for possession of drugs. Unlike many other South Asian countries, Cambodia does not mandate death penalty for drug offenders. Indonesia, drug laws are harsh. If you are caught with marijuana, you can get up to 20 years in jail. Other drugs can carry terms up to 12 years, and sale of drugs is punishable by death. Laos. If you're caught with drugs in Laos, you could pay up to $35,000. If you're found with narcotics, you could spend 10 years in jail. North Korea. Foreigners rarely visit North Korea, but there are several tours that can help you visit the reclusive nation. Do not bring drugs into North Korea because you could find yourself to an extremely lengthy stay in prison camp. You will have no contact with your friends or family, and it may be very difficult for the United States government to intervene. The Philippines. Drug traffickers are sentenced to death. You may be presumed to be a drug trafficker if you have more than 1/3 of an ounce in drugs in your possession. Turkey. Penalties for drug possession in Turkey include large fines, long prison sentence. Penalties for selling drugs can be even stricter. Costa Rica. As in other South American countries, possession of drugs in Costa Rica can land you in jail for a lengthy stay. Colombia. If you're caught with drugs in Colombia, you will spend a long time in jail. Police make several arrests a day at airports in Colombia, catching many foreign nationals. These are the 20 most severe countries, folks. You do not want to have drugs in possession consume drugs, consume alcohol in those particular countries, but more importantly, in any country. Do not consume alcohol, do not consume drugs. There is nothing wrong with consuming alcohol if it's sociable, but if you have an addiction, if you have addictive personality, today is the time when you should start changing your ways. And for the folks that are wondering why I keep doing that and then I keep looking forward, it's because the time on my camera is showing me that we're at 7 minutes, and I just wanted to go over one thing real quick. United States drug laws, keep this in mind, are often considered harsh, but the penalties for carrying or trafficking drugs in other countries, particularly those in Central America, South America, and Southeast Asia, can be much more severe. The ones that are in Asia and the Southeast Asia are punishable by death. It doesn't matter if it's marijuana, cocaine, crack, punishable death. In some of those countries that I read to you about, it's immediate execution, public execution. Don't take the chances. Make the changes today. Try to get help. Call me at 844-405-HELP. Call Larry Geis at 516-458-2741, and together we can all help you take your life back before your life is gone, and may God bless you. But never got an answer, and wondered if God was really there. Did you feel all hope was gone, but in His time He came along and answered the prayer you thought was gone? There is no prayer too small, God hears them all. The answer may not be just what you want, but He always knows what's right, even when we think it's wrong. Just remember, there is no prayer too small. Will ask, you shall receive. No matter what it is, I still believe. There is no prayer too small, and even when we fall, He gives us just exactly what we need.